You will have probably received this morning an email invitation. Also to our organizational members, they're offering five memberships so that some more of your staff can join in that as well. So we will talk about that later. There's a link we'll follow and look at that, but we're excited to be able to offer that to you just as they offer webinars, they have lots of resources, they are a great organization. We'll have some lunch and we're going to hear from Ohio PTA. And Jackie's going to speak to us about the PTA and what they're doing. Then we'd like to review with us those terms of reference. We sent you a document because we thought, as a group, we should kind of have an understanding of so what does it mean to be a member of this group? And we didn't want to write that on our own. We wanted to sort of get it started and share it with you and make sure that that's sort of a good set of agreed upon ways of interacting with one another. We thought that's important for us to put that in place. And also, we have been doing a lot of work on our website, and we want to share our sort of rough draft with you. It's not public yet, to get your feedback on that, and also as we're building it to make sure that we're including things in that you think are important to include. So that's where we're headed today. Big day. Again, what we really like to do in these meetings is, one, to provide information to you. We want to listen well to you because we really want to learn from you. We want to connect with each other. We want to roll up our sleeves and do some work together. So that'll be kind of where our meeting takes us today. I'm going to skip something I had planned. I had planned this fun mixer, and I realized it's probably going to take a long time to do it. And I feel like we all just got to talk. We're on a roll. So I'm going to skip our mixer here. But how about we do it very quickly and maybe just very quickly turn to the person next to you. You have a favorite elementary school memory? Okay, I'm going to give you a minute. Tell the person next to you about your favorite elementary school memory. A favorite element. Don't think too hard. First one that comes to mind.
Field trips?
Field trips. How about you, Grant? All right, I'm going to have you shift now. We're going to skip number 2. So that was something from your past, something on your bucket list, something for the future. Very quickly, just first one that comes to mind. Doesn't have to be super, amazing or anything. Something on your bucket list. Quickly, tell the person next to you.
You're up.
You've got it, babe.
One thing I am getting I don't want to go to the house and our daughter wants to go to we just went to
I told him, I said I'd like to take a picture.
All right. Well, thanks for jumping right into that. So, you always give us feedback. And we always want to, I feel part of listening is not just sort of hearing, but then doing something about what you hear. So we, these are the results from our last meeting. And we always ask you if you were able to share ideas, and we felt like we were doing pretty well there and felt your contributions were appreciated. But there's a couple areas there where we wanted to still keep moving to that strongly agree. We want you to really have a great experience in our meetings together. And so understanding what our new center is doing is something we'd like to focus on with you today, and also understanding how to contribute to the center's work. So we picked those two things today. And work on updating Ohio's approach to family engagement, that we'd increase the awareness and value of the role families play in student success, and that we would provide training, and a lot of this was in response to what they said they wanted to see states doing. So we said, okay, we'll provide training, resources to parents and guardians, but also to educators on family engagement strategies. And one of those things is to implement an evidence-based model. That means a program or a practice that has a lot of research behind it. And so we are working with John University to bring the National Network of Partnership Schools model to Ohio. We'll start that training in August, and we'll be training across the next 4 years 48 different school districts. We'll also be training all the regional teams of the Ohio Department of Education and 96 schools in Ohio. Those are just the schools that we promised. We're hoping that many more will receive the training and implement this research-based model that's been around for actually a number of decades, so almost close to 30 decades of research behind this model. So we're excited about that. So that's something we're moving into. These are the things we promised to do, and that we would create, gather, and make accessible resources for families and for educators that all help us to work together. And so here's where we are with that. So one thing we promised in the first year that we would start by building this website, and so we're going to review that with you today. We've been working on that, but we want to make sure that it's something that you think, yeah, this is some place where I could go to find resources. And we also would like to hear from you. What resources should we be highlighting there? Where should we be pointing people to? So that we're going to share that with you. We've been staffing up. You've met Kia and Meredith and Greg and Scott and Ryan. So you're meeting our staff. We also will post this Saturday. We are posting a position for another family engagement coordinator. We're looking for someone who is passionate and knowledgeable about family engagement, who'd like to help us continue to develop resources, to provide trainings around the state. So that's something that is coming soon, and we would certainly appreciate your support in sort of pushing that out to folks who you know would be interested in that work. We are formalizing our partnerships. We have formal memorandums of understanding with the Ohio Department of Education, with the National Center, with Johns Hopkins, with a national evaluation group. So we are, in this first year, formalizing all of those and making sure that those agreements are in place. And working on the framework. Every time we've come together, we've worked on that framework, and we'll do more of that today. But that was a promise for us, particularly in the first year, that we would work with the Department of Education to build that. So we have been doing the work of looking at other states' frameworks, looking at research-based frameworks, looking at, and we've also helped the Department of Education conduct 4 focus groups at several different conferences. We've been meeting with lots of folks, asking them, planning on a rollout for that, and the writing of that framework. We've done lots of presentations and articles. In fact, we're sharing with you on your table a recent article that I wrote that is in Ohio State's, the College of Education's In Review, which is sort of the research updates that is, and they highlighted our thing. And if, particularly for our students, if you'll flip to the second page, we wanted to highlight you. So make sure that you get one, and or if you are here and you would like one of our students to sign under their picture for you, we'd like to be able to do that as well. So please take that back and give it to your teachers, your principal, anyone else you want to impress even more. So we also have right now, we are surveying all of Ohio's districts that are in what our Department of Education might call a moderate or intensive support status, asking them about family engagement, what they have in place, who they have working on that, what plans do they have in place, because we would like to see more districts have people in their district who are trained, who are focused on how well we are working together with families. We'd like to provide them with resources and training. And we wanted to find out what is sort of a needs assessment. So that survey is out now, and our state support teams are actually working with us to call districts to say, hey, we know you receive surveys all the time. Would you please respond to this one? So we're sending it out again and again and trying to get that information back. We kept it short. How many items? 11 items. We tried to make it easy and quick to do. So That's out. So that's where we've been doing. And of course, we promised a state advisory council. And actually, there was a national webinar this week. Our federal officers, as well as the technical assistance providers for all of the 12, asked us to present about you. They're impressed with you. They're impressed with how well we've done it. Other states are trying to figure out what sort of advisory council they're going to have. They're still sort of trying to get up and running. And they put us out there and said, we like what you're doing in Ohio, and we want other people to see that. So they were asking us for, will you send this? Would you send that? Would you send? And we're sharing freely with the other states about how we're working together. So a little pat on our back. Okay, here we go. We'll keep moving forward. So where are we headed? So we start in August bringing Johns Hopkins and the National Network of Partnership Schools to Ohio. We brought the handbook along. It's actually in its 4th edition. So we'll start this year with 16 Ohio school districts and 32 schools. We're going to be developing resources, particularly our grant says that they would like families to understand school choice. And we know that school choice is a big C. You know, you can choose to go to this school or that school. But there's always that little C choice, too, that we make every day of, well, what course should my high schooler take? And what should I say when I think my child is experiencing anxiety at school? Who do I talk to? There's choices families make every day to support their kids, and educators do, too. And so we want to speak to both of those. Understanding our state report cards. That's something in the grant that was promoted, and we think that we could work on that in Ohio. We think we can prove that. We have some particular interest around working with schools and families around the middle school transition, and know that that's important, and that sometimes students who are going to drop out later in high school, sometimes we see that the trends for that start in the transition to middle school. So we really want to look at how do we do that better? How do we help families to know how important that is and what they can do? Because sometimes I think we're telling families, well, they're getting older, so you can let go. They're independent, right? And then we see these things happening, and we think, no, I think we all know there's still a really important role that families play. So what can that look like? How can we help more people know that? How can we help more schools help families know that as well, and what we can do together? So that's just family engagement and education in general. Those are some things trainings and resources for teachers and principals, and we are looking at, we've been working with some of our districts, like Seneca, some of our leaders, to say, how can we help those district leaders out there who are already working on family engagement at the district level, how can we help them connect with each other and learn from one another? So we are working on pulling together sort of a community of practice for any district leader in Ohio this is their hat. That their job is to work with families. So those are things. Those are sort of some of the top things on our to-do list. We also are excited about the idea of having an awards program for schools. We would love to see banners hanging on schools to say that we are a star in really working well with our families, that our families are our partners, and we work hard at that partnership. So we don't know which form that's going to take, but it keeps coming up as something we would really like to do in Ohio. So, all right. So any questions for me about any of those things that we are headed towards or that we're working on now? Questions from you? Comments, questions, thoughts? All right. I'm going to keep going then. And I'm going to hand it over to Jen Bavry. So let's hear about O'Callaghan. And we all of us is sort of, we all know the titles of our groups. But what goes on at O'Callaghan? Do you want me to pass things out?
I thought I could leave them there and people could grab stuff if they wanted to. And then I just that right now. All right. Very good. Perfect. Well, thank you, Barbara, for the time to do this. I appreciate it. How many of you are familiar with O'Callaghan? Oh, good. That's wonderful to see. So O'Callaghan was formed about 2004, 2005 through some legislation related to helping to support individuals with autism and low incidence across the lifespan. We were charged with pulling together some services, administering some programs, and so we, as you can see from our mission here, I mean, that's kind of how we came to be, with the fact that we really are looking to support individuals, inspire change, promote access so that they have the opportunity to live their best lives. We do this through 3 core functions. The first being that we inform policy. We really try to get in front of legislators and administration and other folks just to make sure that disability and individuals are part of the conversation from the start. Our second area is through consulting and collaborating like we are doing today, just connecting with other groups and making sure that we are partnering the best way we can to help support the work that they're doing and then the work that we are doing. And finally, through deploying best practices. So we do have a lot of resources and tools that we are trying to get in front of families, educators, and professionals to help support them in the work that they are doing. And we do this through the centers at Ocali. We, as you can see here, have several centers that are targeting different areas, again, across the lifespan, from our Center for the Young Child that's working with birth through 8. They have a lot of resources related to childcare, preschools, and then all the way through our Lifespan Transition Center, who's working more with those young adults. We have 2 new centers. I guess I still consider them new centers, even though it's probably been a couple years since they have joined Ocali, and that is the Outreach Center for Deafness and Blindness and the Assistive Technology and Accessible Education Materials Center. They help support some of our the low incidence side of Ocali. The Outreach Center actually just recently launched a new tool that I wanted to make sure that I got in front of you guys today, and there is some information over here related to it. It's this one right here. They have created a online module. It is free, related to, oh, thank you, related to kind of making that connection with individuals who are deaf, blind, hard of hearing, visually impaired, and just helping to build those relationships and have a better understanding of how, what supports they need, and helping to just make those connections. And so that actually just launched last week. We're pretty excited about that tool. And again, we are, oh, did I do something? There we go. Okay. Again, we are just really excited about being able to share that resource with folks. Let's see here also, and of course we've got our conference, OcaliCon, which is, I think it's now in its 14th year. It's held in November, and it's a conference for families, for educators, professionals to come together, learn about the latest research, the latest tools. Again, just opportunity to network. I think that's the feedback we really receive from folks, is the fact that they really enjoy the opportunity to come together, have opportunities to check out what's going on in other states and even outside of the United States. And of course, we have a lending library, which is free. I don't know if you guys, anyone accessed our lending library? You've seen it? Okay. Oh, good. Yeah. So what have you been able to gather from our lending library? Oh. Great. Okay. Yeah, so the lending library has books, we have AT devices, we have assessments, we have sensory kits, and all of those are actually free for folks to check out and have access to for, there's short-term and long-term. It's just like when you go to any library and being able to check that out. The great thing is that we actually ship the items to you, so you don't have to be here in Columbus to go and get them, and then we provide the option for them to be shipped back to us. So I would definitely check it out. Go ahead and open up a library card and just check out the resources that we have there. Okay, so as Barbara mentioned, I am the program director for the Family Center. We actually are going to be updating the name to include community outreach, so that'll be coming here soon with some of our materials. But the reason for that is an area of really important for me, as far as an area that I want to focus on, is that enhancing that community experience. I am the parent of a 19-year-old with autism, and we really want to be able to make sure that he has an opportunity, and others, to get out into their community and be a part of their community. So we have had some opportunities to work with a couple different groups over the years, one of them being Ohio State and their hospitality management program, and working with the students that are going through the program to be able to host an event for families with children who have autism, and giving them that experience to be able to dine out in a comfortable setting and just be able to have a fun time. But what's great about that is the students are the ones that are organizing it, and they're working with us to learn a little bit more about autism, learn a little bit more about sensory issues, and being able to to provide an evening where families are just really able to enjoy themselves, and what they're learning from that, then they're taking out into the industry. So when they go to work in a restaurant or they go to manage a hotel, they've already had this introduction into this, and so it just becomes a norm of how they practice once they are out in the real world. It'll be soon called the Family and Community Outreach Center. But our main focus in the center is really connecting families and the agencies that serve them with resources, just as O'Callaghan does. We really want to make sure we're getting information out there for folks that are working with individuals with disabilities, just to make sure that they are well informed of the latest strategies, the latest tools, and just really be able to make those connections with those individuals. We, on our website, have a resource gallery that includes some information, some packets you can download, a video series to, again, really help families and professionals. We work closely with our Office of Policy to kind of look at what are some of the things out there that parents need to know. What do they need to be informed of what's happening in education, what's happening in the DD system. We also make sure that we are connecting families to those systems and just keeping them aware of everything that's out there and what they have access to. We've got some new things that we're going to be kind of rolling out through the Family Center, kind of tied to both of those, and it's a video series that, again, we really like to be able to provide the opportunity, different methods, I guess, of learning. And so we have found that doing some video series where you actually get an opportunity to see things in action in job settings in schools has really been helpful for people, learning and trying to find out more. And so the Family Center is going to be working with the policy office, as well as the other centers at O'Callaghan, to kind of launch a video series related to building those partnerships and building a better understanding of the systems in Ohio. What role families actually play in education, what role families can play in policy, and just really making sure that parents are informed of what's out there and how they can contribute, and also be able to connect families with other families that are doing the same thing. And so, let's see here. I have brought some materials, please, during the break or when you, at the end, to grab related to the new tool that's rolling out from our Outreach Center, information about our conference, a little save the date card, and my business card. Please feel free to contact me with any questions or if you want to learn more about how we can all work together. And then just some information about the Family Center and some of the resources that we have available. We do, I would just encourage you to check out our website. We've got a lot of information out there from each of the different centers. This is also where you can go to sign up for the library. And we do have a monthly newsletter. We've actually just went past our first year of sending this out, and please feel free to sign up for that. It's a monthly newsletter. We get information to you about what's happening at O'Callaghan, as well as sharing some resources outside of the work that O'Callaghan is doing. So, any questions? Yep. Mm-hmm.
We had a friend, or in our own lives, our child was diagnosed with autism or would you recommend that those families call directly to O'Callaghan and say, like, this is what's going on in my life, or is it really just the website is the place to go?
It's both. I always suggest checking the website first, because you might find a resource there. And for the new diagnosis, we definitely have a lot related to what is autism, or what are some of the things that you need to consider. And on the Family Center, there is actually a great booklet, and I should have brought some of those with me, related to the basics. Like, what are some of the things that you need to do? So always checking out the website is great, but definitely can call O'Callaghan. And we have a wonderful front desk secretary, Tammy, who will get you directed to whoever you need to be. You also have my direct number too, so I'd be happy to have those conversations as well.
And then for schools in Ohio, is O'Callaghan a website where they could go to just increase their staff awareness of what autism looks like? And
Yes.
how to work with families with autism
Yeah.
and other
Yes, great question. Thank you. No, the resources we have are for professionals, for families, for educators. Everything that we have there is trying to help just with that relationship building and understanding individuals with autism and low incidence. So it is, we've got tools pretty much for anyone that's interacting with individuals with disabilities. Yeah. Yes. traumatic brain injury. Oh, thank you. We also have other medical related, so it's kind of covering that other area of individuals who do require services. It might be a higher need that they have, but it is a low population within the education system. Okay. Yes. Yes. Yeah, so the Lifespan Transition Center focuses on that area. We do have a lot of resources. We work closely with OOD, Ohio Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities. We also work with, we have the Employment First is another group. So we do, yes, we try to have some resources. We really try to help schools also with that process, and transition coordinators as well as families, and just trying to make it successful in that transition. We have also supported adults and trying to connect them with resources. And I guess that's the other thing to mention. So Cali is not exactly a direct service provider, but what we do we are kind of a clearinghouse of information and resources, and trying to make those connections to the services that could best support the individual. And so I know we do have several adults that call us as well that have long past been out of the school system, and we do try to make sure that they get connected to some resources. Okay. Well, thank you again. I appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, Jen. O'Cali does so many amazing things, and it's, as someone who doesn't have a whole lot of exposure to children with autism, with adults with autism, going and just watching the videos on O'Cali's website is really eye-opening. So I would encourage you to do that, and maybe with some of your colleagues or family members, just go and learn, because it's a great place to learn. So as Barbara mentioned, one of the main functions of you being here is to share all of your wealth of knowledge with us. And at our last meeting, if you'll recall, we had you guys rotate around to 8 different stations. And there were 4 main topics that we had you provide examples of family engagement within. So we had communication, learning and future planning at home, trust and respect, and partnerships within the community. And so for each of those, we broke it down into elementary school experiences and middle and high school experiences. So that was really like an action research thing. I mean, you guys went to town on those chart papers and gave us so much feedback on what it looks like to you when you hear those topics. And so we wanted to take some time in the meeting today to really share back what we got out of that experience, and to sort of summarize the high points. And so I want to draw your attention to one of your handouts. It says, Developing Ohio's Family Engagement Framework, a report on Ohio's statewide advisory council members' descriptions of family engagement in education. So Ryan, our research associate, helped compile all of your many examples and visuals, and he helped me greatly put together these slides today and this handout. So this is really everything that we most of what we captured in some way, shape, or form from those chart papers. So the slides, I just have a few slides at the high level, but this is really, we wanted to give back to you all the details, and there's lots of quotes in there too in your handout. So we thank you for sharing that in your mind, when you hear effective communication, what that looks like is that it's individualized. It's focused on each child. It's personal. You also said that it's positive. So it's important to celebrate the successes of the students, of the families, and that quote there, you have to recognize positives, not just have communication with it's a problem. And that came up a couple different times, the idea of being regular and consistent and proactive. And this really reminds me of a presentation I heard about